Okay, call this meeting to order Wednesday, October 16th, council regular session. The time is 7:13. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to jump in here? Okay, slowly.
That lightly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll open it up for visitor comments. Come on up. Please state your name for the record. Yep, you can sit.
Hi, I'm Luann Kreitzer, and I'm president of the Merchants Toy and Joy Auction. And I'm here to represent the auction committee. And our annual auction is December 7th. And we raise funds for the Columbia River Fire and Rescue's Volunteer Fire Association, Kiwanis, St. Helens Kiwanis project that they do together, the Holiday Hope. You guys, as a city, have been so generous in several years past in offering donations to us for our auction. I'm here tonight to ask if you would consider donating once again to us, as you've done in the past. I have a letter here if you'd like to review any information.
But we've done it like every year I've sat in the seat.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it at the end of the last meeting to
Oh, did you?
do it.
We
what
brought
did.
it up and
Okay.
talked about whether you needed to come or not come or that, all that stuff, so we
Okay.
knew you were coming tonight.
Okay. Do you need anything else from me? Have any questions?
What the council talked about is doing what we did last year, although it wasn't super clear what we did last year.
We did,
Well, I can tell you what you did if you.
He has a credit on the water bill.
we did 2 water bills, and later after that, we put together a Halloween basket.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really nice. I attended that event on my own, and it was really nice to see that representation there from the city.
We thank you very much. It was a big hit.
Yeah, I just thought it's kind of nice to, we don't have a Made in St. Helens, but we do
Yeah.
have a Halloween thing.
Yeah, Spirit of Halloween Town. Yeah, yeah.
So I think we got the head nod from everybody, right? That we,
I can't vote on this. I'm a Quanian.
oh,
Neither can Doug.
Likewise.
all right. Well, if yes for me, it's up to us three. Boy, you
Yeah,
get
I can't think of any good, bad, or indifferent reason not
about
to
Toy
do
and
it.
Joy. Yep,
Not to help Toy and Joy.
yep.
So I would move that we help them, and I hope that the counselors will join me in buying tickets. And how soon will tickets be available?
Oh, they're on sale now. You can go either to Columbia River Fire and Rescue admin office and buy them in person, or go online.
I saw the
And-
link for $30 this
Yeah,
year.
$30 each, and we have tables of 6 to 8. We can
And the
accommodate more.
The theme is Hometown Heroes?
Yes, hometown heroes Christmas making magic year round. So we're
Awesome.
honoring police, fire,
All people that do
teachers.
service.
everybody, social workers, everybody. So that's our
Awesome.
theme this year.
Perfect.
Councilor Topaz, Councilor Carlson made a motion. Do you want to second it?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to fund the Toy and Joy as we did last year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it passes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Thanks.
coming down the way.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lynn.
It's Luann.
Oh, is it Luann?
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
for the record.
Yeah. She said, yeah.
I thought she said Lynn. Yeah. Okay, other visitor comments.
Change your name.
Come on up. Please state your name for the record, and I'll try to get it right.
My name is Mindy Sass.
Hey, Mindy.
Hi. I'm here today because I'd like to request the City Council consider adding a stop sign at First and St. Helens Streets among the improvements you're currently discussing. Coming up from the riverside of the St. Helens or First Street, it creates a dangerous traffic situation during sunset. My husband was actually coming up one day after fishing and almost hit a motorcyclist. He was stopped, my husband was stopped, and started going, and the motorcyclist was not speeding. It is just extremely difficult to be able to see. At that moment in time, he started putting in requests in the city suggestion box that a stoplight or a stop sign be put. And this has been going on for about 8 years, I think, that he's been requesting it. And I do understand sunset only happens once a day, and it's Oregon and we rain, but it would reduce the probability of an accident by having all traffic stop. And then also when you're coming down the other way and you're going directly across instead of making a right on First, it's very difficult to see the traffic that's coming up from First due to the vehicles that are parked along the side of the road. So it would solve two different issues. And it's also like a stop, take a breath, and welcome to Old Town instead of just speeding on through. So thank you for considering my request.
Could you talk about 5 hours on this, please?
That's about all I got.
Thank you, Mindy.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other visitor comments? Please state your name for the record.
Don't know me already? Jeez.
I know you, but everybody else has got to know you.
Howard Blumenthal, St. Helens resident, Friends of Nob Hill Nature Park. At our parks meeting the other day, Doug said I hadn't been in here a while to bring up some of the things that we're planning to do in the park, and especially with a work party coming up on November the 2nd, I thought I'd just come in and give you a refreshment of what I thought we were hopefully going to try to do in the park and just some of the ongoing things that we've been doing. One of the neatest things that recently happened was there's a group intertwine that we joined with kind of the city, and they came up with a brand new app that's called Daycation, and it's listing Nob Hill Nature Park, and I think we also got a couple other parks. And what it is for destinations within a little over an hour of Portland for people to go out to natural areas and stuff. So it's kind of neat. We haven't been able to access it yet. I'm not a computer whiz, so that's kind of a neat thing that would be giving us more tourism and that type of thing for people to come out here. I run into people all the time in the park that are from Warren, Portland, St. John's, and everything else, you know. So getting on to November the 2nd, we have a work party coming up from 1 to 4 o'clock, and we're meeting at the sewage treatment plant. Some of the things that we're planning to do is at the top of the staircase, I'm going to replace some gravel with bigger gravel and then put fine gravel on top, where every year we have a certain amount of drainage issues coming down that trail because it used to be an old ravine for drainage. So I was going to try to improve the top of the step and the way that it gets into a drain pipe that they put in there. We've also probably going to end up with another 20 to 30 plants that are donated, and that we've acquired other native plants that we're going to be planting in the park, probably up around where the big fir tree is, and I believe probably in the same area where we're so happy that the grant came through from the Nike Foundation to start the 5th Street trail for that. And so we've been, where that trail is going to come off is through an area that we've been replanting for several years in there. So we're going to continue that and get a better idea of where the trail is so we don't have to move anything when that happens. I'm also, thank you guys for getting us an outhouse once again. I believe Sue said that could be arranged for that. You know, so that's kind of what we're planning to do for the work party. And then I probably should just, you know, keep you abreast of different things that go on. I don't know if I won't mention the name, but we did have a person recently that was doing some work in a park, getting ready to remove some invasives. And so I thought it's wise that I think there's some questions that you guys will probably have to start to think of to see how to identify people that are volunteering in a park, so that people don't think we're just some wacko out there ripping out vegetation, you know. Because like me in Nob Hill Nature Park, I'm constantly going in there. I did leaf blowing last week on the trails to keep the trails looking good and not give so much matter to rot in the trail to grow grass in the middle of the trail. I do mowing in there. We're constantly trimming branches or getting in the ways of the trail and tending cages and stuff. So I don't know if there's a way for the city to think of a way I don't know if it could be a hat, a little bit of an ID tag, because there's probably 10 or 15 people in the city that constantly are going out and working on ivy in our parks to remove it and that type of thing, you know. And we have all talked to different people in the city about it, so they kind of know that we're doing it, but we're kind of in a hard position sometimes where John Q. Public walks up to us and goes, well, what are you doing? So that's food for thought. I think Councilman Morton knows what I'm talking about, and I don't know if he's mentioned it to you or not, you know. Nope. Topic for another work session for you then, you know. So those are just kind of some of the main things there that I wanted to mention on the park. And then once again, I still wanted to mention about in our neighborhood some of the parking issues that we've had in the last couple of weekends, especially the first weekend of Halloween Town. Our neighborhood was inundated with people racing down streets, people racing down the dead-end streets only to find out it's a dead-end street, to turn around, to come back out looking for parking up there. And I'd like to see some type of ideas of a little bit more traffic control if you're going to make our neighborhood be the main way in and out of half of Old Town, that we maybe should think of having a lower speed limit up there. Maybe there's a way to get 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs, because we tried going for a drive that first night and didn't have any idea that anything that big was happening on that night. And you had people walking up and down 4th Street, steep hill, dark after the parade, and people racing through the neighborhood. And, you know, if you're detouring traffic from the main area and not letting people, that you're going through a residential neighborhood, you really need to think about the impacts and how the traffic gets through there. We have people parking on corners, like literally around the corner. So if you came to a stop sign, you couldn't even really see to get around the right to see if there's anybody walking or coming, because they're parked on the corners, you know. I did also notice that I think there should be a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign as you come into the veneer plant property, because there are people still out there trying to walk, and people are going mighty fast to go from that where you take the money to get to the other end. And I guarantee you they're going way over 20 miles an hour through there. And it makes it kind of hard when you're trying to walk across there and wondering for your safety if they're going to see you or not, you know. I'm also still concerned about the intersection of 4th and Old Portland, you know. Once again, that's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. This area everybody keeps talking about down here, it's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think the potential for a more serious accident is up on 4th and Old Portland. I'd almost consider that a more dangerous intersection, especially when you're increasing traffic in our neighborhood. They all have to come out that stop sign and try to make a left to go up the hill, and you have people coming down that are speeding. Once again, I really asked it, could you move the 30-mile or the 25-mile-an-hour sign up before the corner so people have more of a chance to see it? Most people never see the 25-mile-an-hour sign because it's right at the intersection. So they're most definitely never going 25, and they're usually going 35 to 40 as they come down through that area, which is making it really, really hard to get in and out of there. So I think that's it. I'll let you guys get on with your meeting.
Thank you, Hart. Other visitor comments? No? Okay. Okay, deliberation annexation of 2185 and 2195 Gable Road.
So the easy motion is as recommended in the staff report.
I'd like to make a motion to, as recommended by staff.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve annexation as recommended by staff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, well, you'll see an ordinance in the near future.
Thanks, Jacob. Okay, award bid contract. Articulating boom lift purchase to Pape Machinery in the amount of $67,056.25.
Move we award bid contract to Pape Machinery in an amount of $67,056.25.
Second?
Question?
Okay,
See if we can do
Question?
that in unison.
So, could you tell us when, if we approve this, when that will be available? Will it be available for the decorations and for Christmas and that kind of thing?
Unfortunately, it will not. It will probably be after the first of the year until this will be available.
What is it?
So you missed the
yeah.
presentation earlier. It's a four-wheel lift instead of a actual
So,
truck.
yeah, instead of a truck with the boom lift
And it's
on it,
cheaper.
it's a smaller, more compact unit. It still has a 35-foot lift.
The lift
The
that
high
we've been
lift.
using, whose is that?
Ours.
It is ours. It
Okay.
was something that was purchased as a surplus item from the PUD
Oh.
several years ago. And since then, it has cost a considerable amount of money in refurbishing it and keeping it up to the level of certification that it requires because of the size of it. It's oversized really for what we need.
And this was already in the budget?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And this is actually about half of what was budgeted because we were planning to replace that equipment this year, and this costs about half of what we had anticipated spending.
Okay. I
So we,
apologize for missing the meeting.
second part of the
No, that's
question,
fine.
will you be replacing the truck, or are you keeping the truck?
We are not keeping the truck. It will be they won't take it as a trade-in, but we will be surplusing that and selling that so we can get some money back for it.
So, but that won't be until after Christmas.
Correct.
And we will be
We'll
having,
still have the truck until this.
we will be having a
year.
surplus sale though soon, right? Is what I understand.
More than likely, because we belong to an online auction for government surplus equipment of all types, so that's where we anticipate that to be sold through.
So when we get ready to do the rest of our inventory though down there, that will actually, we'll be able to notify our citizens to go to the website if they are interested.
Yes.
Because I think they should
Sure.
have first op at
Yeah.
looking and everything else.
Yes. We're getting ready to put that list of equipment on the
I could
approval for surplus.
probably say, take them bids, 100, I got 100, I got 100, 100. I could do it.
I was just going to suggest the online is a great tool,
Mhm.
but depending on how much work, usually Becky or someone is the person who does that,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on how much work and availability she has, you might look at the option of what we've discussed in the past is just having a public auction at the rec center or something
do that
on
as well.
one weekend where you just
Yep.
have everything and it's just all done at once, and whatever is left
Whatever's left, we could put on the online stuff.
you could
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
online, and it would be, I would hopefully think, a considerable less amount of work for Becky if we did it that way instead of doing
And
every
if we do it
single
ourselves,
item.
do we make more money? Do we? Is
Yeah.
You
it
won't
just
have to pay
kinda-
fees for online.
Yeah,
or
there's-
credit cards or that kind of stuff.
Well, and yeah, but there are fees for holding the auction as well because you have to, pay somebody to do that, and yeah.
Okay.
So
There's some pretty,
either way, there's
And I agree
Pros and
with
cons,
I agree with
but-
the mayor because it gives our citizens the first crack
Yeah.
at what,
oh yeah.
what's there.
okay. So we have a motion that's been made and I believe seconded. Is that correct, Kathy? Okay. To award the bid contract to Pape Machinery in the tune of $67,056.25. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have to make an amendment to be on this approve and authorize for signature. It has to do with the line item 3. The term is, the date was wrong on the old one. It's amended to 2020 and July 31st, 2020 instead of July 31st, 2019. So that has been amended. So, approve and authorize for signature. A, scope of work from Kittleson and Associates for South First Street and St. Helens Street intersection improvements. B, agreement with Amy Lindgren for judicial services as municipal court judge. C, final plat for Forest Trail subdivision. And D, contract payments.
Move we approve and authorize for signatures, items A through D,
As amended.
as amended.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion.
Question?
Yep.
I would have further discussions on the scope of work with Kittleson on First and St. Helens Street.
Okay, we had them actually come up to our, what questions do you have? Because we had them here. I forget maybe what you were opposed to when we actually had them come in and gave all of our citizens the ability to have firsthand the scope of work or the price. So,
And I disagreed with both scope of work and price.
okay. So your question being,
With some of the evidence given today, could we actually not approve that and have an RFP to a couple of other companies? I just think that it's overpriced.
I'm not in favor of that. I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that, but I'm wanting to leave it on here. They explained it thoroughly, and I'm not speaking on their behalf, but they gave a very good presentation on what their scope of work is as far as ADA sidewalks, to a whole different range of that they have to be held accountable for and approve through this whole process, from the beginning phases to all the way through to the very last piece of dirt put on the intersection.
We heard Mr. Topaz's question. We don't need to deliberate at all.
I think there's one point I would probably like to talk about is the public process that was used to select this, and the reason that we're doing a sole source versus an RFQ process. And Sue probably can explain it better than I can, but it's essentially the state state bid laws, right?
Yes, with for professional services, you can do many things. You can go out for requests for qualifications. You can't get requests for quotes or bids from different companies. You can ask for qualifications. If we tell Kittleson, no thank you, and go out for a public request for qualifications, we then have to go through a process of looking at the proposals, determining who's the best qualified, and then you enter into a negotiation with that particular company. Then you can get a price from them. You don't know any prices up front. So if that company, if you feel that cost is not, it's not within your budget or whatever, then you dismiss them and you go to the next best qualified company, and you go down the list until you can come to some sort of an agreement with somebody. But you can't go back and say, oh, never mind, we don't like company B, we'll want to go back to company A. You can't do that. You dismiss them. That's the end of that.
The qualification is an RFQ. It's different.
So, but you
Different
can
than
direct
RFP.
hire. You can direct hire if the fee is under $100,000. So for any professional services, surveying, or any of that stuff, you don't have to go out for that
Yes.
whole qualification process, and that would obviously take several weeks to accomplish.
And then the second point thought it might be of a common interest, that it is a time and material budget and a scope. And
It is a time and
It's not a big lump sum.
It is
bid
not.
where they're going to spend all the money. They're going to work
That's
on
correct.
projects. They're going to have check-ins. They're going to have some milestones that you can do more work in certain areas or hold back in others.
Or that's exactly correct. And quite a bit of the proposed work in their scope was to do with landscaping. And so, as we discussed when Mr. Ruse was here last council meeting, if the council, they'll come to the council when they get to a 30% design and say, here is our vision, and here are some options. What do you want to see at this intersection as far as landscaping? Do you want just hardscape? Do you want plantings? Do you want this? And at that point in time, there can be a lot of adjustments made depending on what the council's vision is for that intersection. If there isn't any live landscaping, that's going to cut the cost down quite a bit, because you don't have the landscaper and all of the plans and the planting scope and all of that have to be developed, irrigation systems that have to be designed and things like that. So that would cut those costs out of their total scope that was proposed here. So there's there's a lot of ways to economize the project as it goes along. As John said, we're not stuck with a lump sum. And the last project that they did do for us came in about 20 or 25% under budget.
Okay. So, and I would also like to just state that we did have them come back in and give the council a thorough, they answered any questions we had. And also one of the opponents of this was here 20 minutes prior to them being here, so he was available, but chose not to stick around. And I'll just keep the names out of it, because I'm not going to go there. But I just want to remind the council of that. So, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve and authorize for signature 6A through B, or A through D as amended, as B being amended. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
And you are? Did you vote?
I said aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay. Consent agenda for acceptance. A, Arts and Cultural Commission minutes dated July 23rd, 2019. B, Planning Commission minutes dated September 10th, 2019.
Move we approve consent agenda for acceptance, items A and B as read.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 7A and B as read. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for approval. A, Assistant City Administrator job description. B, Council work session, executive session, regular session minutes dated September 4th, 2019. C, OLCC license, and D, accounts payable bill list.
Move we approve consent agenda for approval, items A through D.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda 8A through D. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, what do I have to report on? I just listening to Howard, the parking issue. You know, it's really tough because we can't control. We try to. The chief does a very good job. Tries to do a good job of parking people down there. It's unfortunate that we're not the licensed drivers behind those vehicles. You know, we cannot be inside. There's been good signage, and I have seen people completely, I mean, really good, clear signage on many different events, and there's always one or two. There's always one or two. And when you have that volume of people, so apologize, you know, but it was really, it's a good problem to have for our merchants down here. And we're really have been really busy. There is one that is affected, scandalous, you know, with their doing their hair, but the rest of them are just gangbusters. So, that being said, not this Saturday. You have, I think, I remember
It's
what
Benny.
it's Benny, and then next Saturday is Little
Boys.
Spooks Parade too, and that starts at I think 5 or 6. 5. I'm supposed to know this because I'm the grand marshal of that.
I think
so.
they stage it at 4:30. It usually doesn't start till about 5:30.
Okay. And that's put on by our the Chronicle in collaboration with Halloween Town. So come on out and dress up and have some fun. You know, like I reported, we did the send off to the National Guard. That was a good venue, good to participate and be there with other people's families. And Councilor Topaz was there as well, and it was a good little event. Were you there? I was trying to pay attention, but I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on, and there was a lot of people there. Yeah, it was very nice. So that's what I have to report on. Let's go with Council President Morton.
Well, you know, I liked what Howard was saying. This isn't the first time we've heard about the speed problem and the problem on 4th and St. Helens. And I took a look at that critically, and I thought, let's see how this goes. And so want 35 miles an hour coming down through the curves.
Chief, you need to arrest him right now. He just admitted 35. Five over.
That's what it says. It says 35.
It's 30.
So
It's
I'm
30.
It is 30? I went 35. Take me away.
It's easy to do. I get what that
And
is
I
an
was just
issue.
going to say it's too damn dangerous to go 35. So let me do my test over again. I'll come back next week, all right? But anyway, my suggestion was to get that down to 25, going through those curves, and approaching, which Howard pointed out, approaching that intersection. I would think that 30 or is too fast and is too much to slow down so fast, so quickly. So I'd like to see a lower speed as you approach that, as you approach the curves, down to 25. I don't know about 20, but I certainly could see a speed sign there at 25.
I have it written down to look into where the actual speed limit changes.
Yeah.
But we don't have the authority to change the speed limits. ODOT has to change that. So if we want to lower the speed,
Well,
we
that's-
have to have them come in and do a speed study
That's
for us.
okay.
Sue and I
That's-
will agree
that's-
with Councilor Morton that if we could even just move it up around the corner.
And
As you
yeah,
come
I
around
have
that
it.
corner,
I
you
have it
don't
to
see
look into to see where that changes, so that yeah, if we have the ability to just move the sign so it's better located, then
I would
that would
say
be fantastic.
200 yards, right? 200 yards, so it's
Even-
visible. Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
Rick,
Yeah,
Rick,
but I
you
can't
put in
change
stop
the
signs,
speed
I'll
limit.
move the speed sign.
So anyway, that's it for me. I can hardly wait for my next test. Wow.
All right.
Go to the eye doctor first.
Councilor Topaz.
I have to agree with that corner. There's some really neat things going on there, and you can do it in 40 miles an hour between the motorcycles and some of the people. That really is a strange corner, and the number of people that miss the St. Helens Old Town or Old Portland Road to 4th Street, making a left turn and missing and burning dirt, is another one of those problems. Somehow we've got to close that corner down as far as speed. I mean, and it's a blind corner coming down Old Portland Road going to 4th Street South, as it is a blind corner coming from 4th Street and making a left onto Old Portland Road. Between that fence and people, it's a strange corner. That's about it for my point.
Okay. Councilor Carlson.
Sorry, I missed earlier. I had work commitments that I couldn't get away from. I had a couple suggestions just based on the comments. My dog was nearly hit at that corner. My kids have nearly been hit at that corner. People do go way too fast, and in the winter months in particular, the kids are out there walking to and from school, and it's kind of dark. I wondered when folks from Riverside were volunteering, we actually provided them with reflective vests that we spray painted a stencil on the back that said volunteer. And they wore them happily every time then people saw them and knew that they were there, and I don't think that's a huge investment. And it also just kind of shows that their safety and their service is noticed and recognized, and that might be an idea to consider. I think we spent like less than $3 on them because we got them off the internet. The other thing is, I wondered as I'm looking around and finding other new places to take my own family, most cities are expanding their exposure of their parks. And what I mean is like updates to their website to where you can see videos, you can see 360 views of every single park in their community, whether it's a nature park, whether it's a basketball park or baseball park. You could go into most cities that are surround us and see at least a 360 view, if not a narrated video that is a minute and a half that will tell you about the park and what they're doing, what they've done, and what their future is. So I just thought if we're talking about being more accessible to people that are visiting, people that are coming here for the first time, people might be here for something. It's like, oh, we're here for the weekend. What else are we going to do? Cold websites with lists doesn't inspire anybody to visit a park. I've been asked to speak at the Boy Scout PAC meeting at the end of the month about youth and leadership. I just thought I'd share that with you. And two things. I talked to Sue Nelson after the last meeting about somebody brought up the access and parking and people getting down, locals and people that work down here, how they get down here. And in other communities, they have local access only signs at the end of the route that is designed for the residents. And Sue said they did not have that sign currently. And then maybe that's an idea, is before we go through this again, maybe we need to have that. So when you close down a road and only the people live down there is supposed to go down there, not to put a policeman there, but just kind of just like local access only so people know it's not a through street. You know, that might help, and we can do a little bit better for next year. The other thing I have is I just wanted to put it on the official record. I did see several complaints about the 5th Street Trail that we just got the grant for. People are concerned because if you follow the local news and what has happened to the Spring Water Trail and what happens to a lot of places where homeless tend to congregate and illicit activity tends to happen, that I just hope that we have a plan for patrolling that and keeping those homeowners that abut that property safe. I know there was stuff with the CZ Trail that happened. Gresham's had a lot of problems with their urban trails, and just wanted to be on the record that there were several homeowners that live up on 4th Street that shared those fears, and they have small children playing in their yard, and they're like, what's going to be down there now? You know, this has been blackberries, and blackberries are not ideal, but nobody's creeping into my backyard through the blackberries. I just want to put that on the record that somebody approached me in the community in that regard. That's all I have.
Okay. Councilor Locke.
So, once again, rainy weather has come around and cold weather, and every year I've talked about fixing up the training center over at the Cascade Mill property. And it is getting worse and worse, and it's going to be ruined. It's the newest, nicest building over there, now anyway. It's in dire shape, needs a lot of tender loving care and heat in the building to go through the winter. So just asking again that we fix that building up before it disintegrates. That's all I got.
Oh, we have to go back. I have to go back.
Okay, go back.
I got to ride in the old truck for the parade, seeing the sheer amount of kids in that parade and seeing their happy faces. And I worked hard to find complainers about that parade. And literally the only thing is just like, I didn't get enough candy in my bag was the only complaint I could find. And just seeing all those happy kids and happy parents, that's a pretty proud day for my community. So that's all I have.
Pretty amazing, huh, the amount of people.
It was pretty overwhelming, and definitely a word to wise on safety for next year.
I called Jenny the next day and I said, God, my arm's sore. And I realized it was from throwing all that candy.
Well, Jenny, was the average about 150 pounds of candy per float?
More than that.
We had a lot.
The dentists are going to love us.
There are 20,000 pieces.
Before I get to department reports, I have one more thing on my thing. Was Howard had mentioned maybe hats for park workers. As long as they're duck hats, I'm okay with that.
Oh, come on, get out of here. Beavers make the world.
Department reports, Chief.
Just real quick, Mr. Rulenthal, respond to your concern, which we all have. On September 18th, another citizen came forward on 4th and Old Portland Road. St. Helens Police Department began running radar at that site. In fact, parked right outside of one of our counselors' residence. And so we will continue to do so, manpower permitting, and we share the same concerns. So there's, when it comes to traffic issues, there's 3 E's that we live by. That's engineering, enforcement, and education. So we're doing our part for the enforcement and education. So hopefully we can come together as a community and do better. So we're going to continue to work on that, as well as the parking issues. So thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sue?
Nothing more tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Margaret?
This Friday from 9 until 5, and Saturday from 10 until, excuse me, I believe it's, 10 until 2. The Friends of the St. Helens Public Library are having their semi-annual book sale. And on Saturday, from 9 until 2, the St. Helens Garden Club is going to be on the front porch with their plant sale. So given that the garden club's out there at 9, the Friends may actually start at 9 on Saturday. I should have that straight. But anyway, lots and lots of books. And they're having a bag sale the last hour on Saturday, and that's when you can fill up a whole grocery sack for a great price and clean out all the rest of the books that are there, so they don't have to pack them back up. And on Tuesday night, on the 22nd, author Amy Stewart is going to be at the library, and she's the author of a series called The Cop Sisters, and it's about three historical women who were sisters, and one of which who was the first deputy sheriff in the United States. She's based in Portland, and her books have gotten attention on the New York Times and NPR. So this is quite an event for us to have her come. She'll have books available for sale. She also has popular nonfiction books, one of which the best known is called The Drunken Botanist, and it's all about plants that are used to make interesting drinks.
Oh, interesting.
So come hear Amy Stewart at 7 o'clock in the auditorium.
All right. Thank you, Margaret. Matt? Kathy? John?
Like we mentioned earlier about Halloween and the impacts, how positive impacts to most of the local merchants, but what we didn't talk about was the community groups and the support to just the broad benefit to all the civic groups, and we sometimes take some criticism for revenue sharing and kind of retaining those revenues for our own programs where we used to support a few things here and there. But I think the platform that we've created through the Spirit of Halloween Town event for these civic groups that want to raise funds to go out and have that civic space to do that. I mean, I don't know that we could write a check that big and how much benefit there's been with that. So I think this is a really good model, and it's just fantastic.
And that we are fair to all of them. And that we are fair to all of them, because I had an issue, and yes, but we treat them all evenly. They all, yes.
Also, the waterfront's just an ongoing project, but there's, up over the coming months, there's going to be some real opportunities for community engagement. There's some big decision points around some of the grants we're going after, some of the it's big decision points, right? Some of the negotiations, the improvements on the Veneer property, opening up some access coming down off the hill, the technical work going on at the lagoon, the former white paper site, industrial park business planning. That's all. There's just a lot of activity happening, and there's things happening in all of those arenas, and there'll be a lot of opportunity for public engagement and opportunity for input, and it's stay tuned. So it seems like nothing's happening, but there's definitely some things happening behind them.
A lot of things happening, actually.
A lot happening.
Yeah. Okay. So, is that it?
That's it.
Thank you for probably sent out here for Mr. Newsom, I imagine. Yes. Yeah, it wasn't too long. So, we're adjourned.